This video is for all of my fellow creative, home design enthusiast, free spirits who love taking spaces and making it feel unique to their own personality and style. Today, I want to take a little bit of the mystery out of creating custom wallpapers and murals and show you the process I took to make this silly willy little wallpaper in my office zone that I have in my studio. I designed it and had it printed out, and I want to show you that process, so hopefully in watching me do it, you'll be convinced of how easy it can be for you to do the same and maybe take it into a space of your own. Yo, guys, so cool, so excited. One last look at these blank walls. Bye. Look at that. You can take comfort in knowing that I am not an illustrator or a designer or an artist, and you don't need to be either. Key is just to be willing to take some risks and know that the stakes are not that high. We're just gonna have a little bit of fun. Let's go. So this backdrop that you're seeing here is peel and stick wallpaper. They come in these individual rolls, and all you have to do when they arrive is apply it to your flat surface. I use a squeegee. It's a very straightforward process. The best part though is that they are non-permanent, which makes it a great solution if you are renting like I am. You can take solace in really customizing your space without worrying about losing your damage deposit. So when I was doing the laundry makeover for Robot Man, I wanted a fun, jazzy print in the background of that nook. So I was scouring the internet for wallpaper companies and found this local company in Vancouver called wallpaperonline.ca. And I spent hours perusing their many different options of prints to see what I would use. But then I found on their website this beautiful button that said, create your own. And I was thinking, we can have a little bit of fun. So essentially, you're not limited to what you can find on their catalog. They will be able to print an image of your choosing to your specified dimensions. So for that laundry nook project, I was able to find this beautiful print. It's like a jungly, wild, colorful moment by a designer named Irina, and I loved how it turned out. But in this studio of mine, I really wanted to try my hand at just designing my own print, therefore making it one of a kind and completely true to me. So to start, have a think about what space you want this wallpaper to go on, whether it be a feature wall in your bedroom or a fun backdrop on a children's room or just the entire face of your bathroom. Find that space and we're gonna take some measurements. So what I was working with was this back wall, which in the beginning of moving in, my layout was a little different. So this used to be my living room and where my sofa was gonna sit. This wasn't gonna be my office originally. The idea was that this wallpaper would act as like a sectioning off of this area to make it its own zone. I wanted it to span from the edge of where the windows were to kind of the center of that floating weird jutty-outy cabinet. So I took the measurement and it was 11 feet in length and then 8 feet high from floor to ceiling. In my case, I designed my backdrop print digitally on my iPad. This is my super old iPad. I think I've had this for like 10 years and I bought her used off of Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, my favorite places. Got my trusty Apple Pencil here. So we are just going to be using an app called Procreate, which is so much fun to doodle in. If you don't have any of these tools, it's okay. Honestly, you can probably doodle something on paper and then scan it and it'll still look freaking dope. This is just what I did. So for some quick math, this is our wall. We know the width is 11 and then the height is 8. So in order to take these feet into the pixels that we'll be using on our digital screen, we're gonna multiply it by the same factor. Now they recommend 4,000 pixel as a minimum resolution. It's not a strict rule, but ideally if you want a lot of detail and clarity, you wanna aim for this number. Just off the bat, I can see that the 8 can be multiplied by 500 to equals 4,000. So 8 times 500 equals 4,000 for your height. And that means 11 times 500 is equal to 50 pixels per inch per feet. Oh my God, sorry for the messy writing. So we've got our canvas here. I'm gonna call it wallpaper. The width is gonna be 500 pixels and then 4,000 pixels. So hit create. And this is our blank canvas, which can be a very intimidating place to start. What I always do when I want to start tackling a design is gather inspiration from the greats, from Pinterest, pull from designers. So I'll normally save a bunch of images, and then that'll lead us into our next step, which is curating our color palette. What I do for that, there's a couple options. So first of all, once you've saved a bunch of pictures, you can go to your palettes and you can create a whole separate palette here from a picture. So it says new from photos. So I have a bunch of photos here. Here's an example of a room which had a palette that I really liked. You can see it created a palette based off of pulling some of the colors from that image. What I find with this method is that sometimes it's gonna be pulling some of the shadows and not your main colors. So instead what I do is I'll end up just creating a new layer and then going to my actions and adding insert a photo, and we'll select this photo. I can use my color picker tool, which is this little square right here, and you can go over the areas where you like the color. So I really like this kind of lavender blue, and we'll create our own new palette and then save it into a little cube. I'm just gonna grab this orange as well, save it in here, grab this pink color, and then this deep red here. I want some more vibrant colors, so I'm just gonna add another photo. Let's see. Yeah, I really like what's going on here. Take my color picker and then drop this nice yellow in here. Grab this nice teal, this nice lavender. Cool, now we can hide these layers and get started. Now, I'm not gonna tell you what you wanna do with your wallpaper. You have the freedom to do whatever you want. I just wanna show you that on Procreate, if you wanna do a certain textured look, which is what I did for my wallpaper, there are all these brushes that have their own unique feel to it. Like, look at how textile-y this one does. Stucco. Let's see, we can choose this color and go here. Fresco. Yeah, I mean, this could be a wallpaper if you want this on a wall. I'm just gonna clear that by undoing the paint strokes. Now for me, what I did for my wallpaper was choose a good base color. I used a very light lavender. I think it was this nice light lavender from my Home Palettes Chew, and then chose a textured brush, brought it to max size and max opacity, and painted over the whole area. So now if you look closely, you're gonna get some of these nice textures that make it feel a little bit more organic. Now, a game changer when designing your own wallpaper is to have it integrate well with the furniture pieces that are gonna be sitting in that wall. So for my room, when I had the living room, say this was going to be my wall, I had that floating shelf above, and then my couch was somewhere around here. Blech, how do you draw a couch? That's a couch. And then I had that little floating cabinet to the side. And then I wanted to put a little lamp here, standing lamp. Am I an artist or what? Because I wanted the wallpaper to play with these elements in a fun way, I took measurements of where all these furniture pieces sat. And then we're gonna put that into our canvas so that we can design all of our elements around them. I took the measurements of where this couch was. This distance was roughly 1.5 feet. The couch width was just roughly 6.5 feet. And for the shelf, this was about 1, and this is about 2 feet. This distance from the shelf to the couch was about 3 feet. So knowing all these measurements, we can add it as a layer into our canvas and be able to draw around these items. What you're gonna do is create a new layer on top. I want to choose a color that's gonna be a big poppy color. It's gonna make you realize that this is just gonna be a guideline. So this nice green is beautiful. And I'm gonna choose a simple brush with a consistent stroke width. A good one I like to use is round brush. We're gonna bring this width to about 6%, doesn't have to be exact. And then go into your actions and canvas, and you're gonna see this drawing guide right over here. We're gonna toggle that on, and boom, you've got all these grid lines to use as a reference. What we're gonna do is make it so each of these squares are the equivalent of 1 feet in real life. And that way you can transfer this into this pretty easily. So I'm gonna edit this drawing guide, change the grid size, done. And that means that every single one of these squares is gonna be a foot. What I wanna do is, because every measurement is referenced from this right side, I'm just gonna move this grid line so it lines up nicely to this right and bottom edge. Now that we have this assisted grid, I'm gonna hit done, and I'm just gonna transfer this image here. 1.5 distance, roughly here. We're just gonna draw a line up to 3 feet. That's about how tall the couch is. And then bring it over here, 6.5 grids. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. And then bring it down. Nice, so we got our couch. And the floating shelf, I think, was about 2 feet above that, now that I'm looking at it. So 2 feet, 2 squares up, and it was about 1 foot out from the window, cut across for about 7 feet. One trick is if you take your pen and you draw a line, if you want it to be straight, you just hold it and it will straighten itself out. Again, this is not gonna be a Procreate tutorial. There's lots of videos on learning how to do Procreate, so this is just gonna be a quick run through. And the lamp was gonna be roughly, I think it was 4 feet tall. Ta-da. And then my floating cabinet was about 2 feet out this way, a foot off the ground, and then off the screen. There you go. So now I've got my home layout on this wall. Don't worry, this is not going to be printing with the canvas. You can toggle this layer on and off, which is why it's in its own little layer. Next, what you're going to do is you're just going to add all your fun design elements. So for instance, you know, say I want like a little half sun on this shelf. You can make a little oval here. Boom, make some rays coming out. Boom, boom. Oh, maybe we want this cabinet to have hands, so I'm gonna choose this fun red. I'm gonna have an arm that comes out, and it's just gonna be plucking. Oh my goodness. The artistry. Oh, we can color that hand in. A little dude that pops up from behind the couch. It says hello. And then we can add little squigglies. This is looking great. Obviously, you can spend more time than I am on this, but it just goes to show you can have a lot of fun with playing around with the wallpaper to make it integrate with your space so that it truly feels unique to your home. But if you do want your furniture to be able to move around, it might be nice to keep it versatile enough. I ended up moving my office nook to this space. So it was good that most of these shapes were just geometric circles and lines and doodles that were in nonsensical places, because otherwise it could have been a little bit weird if things were just coming out of nowhere. Now, I understand that it's really hard to make a commitment on what to put on your wall, especially when you get to choose to paint whatever you want. Not having limited boundaries mean that you'll just get stuck with choice paralysis, and you'll never know when it's good enough to just put on the wall. I ended up spinning my wheels for like days on end and trying different designs. For instance, I had this simple version. I created this one as well, which was the first version of what you see behind me that I didn't end up going with. I started doing one that was more geometric. This one took a heck of a lot of time. I'm not even done. So that was an option for a wallpaper. Then I thought about doing something that was more solid colors, and so I tried this variation, which I think was my second choice. I actually quite like this one. It would have been a little bit bold. The space would have felt very different. Not necessarily a wrong choice, just different. But in the end, you're just gonna have to give yourself a deadline for when you have to pull the trigger on making a decision. I sat with each of these designs for a couple of days, and every morning I would wake up and then hold my iPad up, look at it next to the wall, see if it felt good to me, see if the colors of the room changed with daylight versus nighttime. You're not gonna know perfectly how it's gonna feel until it's in your space. So give yourself maybe 5 days to simmer, and then just pull the trigger. Just order it. It's here. It's here. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to touch it. This is the first time designing my own wallpaper print, even if it's a bust. That's okay. I just think it's gonna be unreal to look at my wall and see my own piece of art blown up. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Ah! Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, there's so many rolls. Whoa. 6 rolls, baby. Can I count? 6 rolls, baby. Oh, I I'm stoked. I am going to clear everything away. Let's roll that time lapse, shall we? Wow! The lavender color. Look at this blue. Ooh, the canvas texture feels nice. It feels expensive. So it took about 11 minutes for me to do the clear out. We are restarting it to see how long it takes for the whole installation to go up. Granted, I'm gonna be taking my time. There's a lot of things to cut around. There's some receptacles, a sprinkler head, so that might add some time, but let's just see. Guys, come on. This kind of looks like a Walmart logo right now, but trust. I wasn't planning to install it tonight, but now I can't contain my excitement, so I'm just gonna do it. It's gonna be a big task. I have to move a lot of furniture, but we're gonna put some good music on and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be so much fun. All right, gang, it is 1:18 a.m. right now, and I've just finished the mural. My timer has been going this whole time, so it's taken me 100 minutes plus 45 minutes. What is that? 2 hours and a half. But what do you guys think? Here it is. Wow. 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 The canvas texture is so nice. Look at the detail on this. I can't wait to see it in the daytime. All right, guys, it's the next day and I'm seeing it in the daylight and it's looking really cute. I was a little bit worried in the beginning at the colors I chose. I was worried it felt a little bit too child. And now that it's out, I'm really digging it. I think it'll feel more cohesive once my furniture's back as well. Definitely makes the place feel more homey. Thank you all for joining me on this little rundown on how I made this custom wallpaper and how to get it printed. Again, thank you to wallpaperonline.ca for being such an amazing company to work with. And also, as a Canadian, it's nice to support local businesses. If you want a 20% discount off of your wallpaper order, take 20 from Nancy. It's all yours. Use it, take it, use it. And if you end up creating something magical, please, 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 please tag me. It'll make me so happy to see what fun, unique ideas you guys came up with for your own home. Sending you guys so much love.